Roll call vote, please.
Heffron,
Here.
Moore, Oden,
Here.
Thomas,
Here,
Whistler,
Yes.
White.
Here.
welcome visitors. This is the time for a public forum. If anyone would like to address the board, now's the time to do so. All quiet on the western front. We'll move on to approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. We have an agenda. Approved minutes of the previous meetings.
I make a motion to approve those.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Minutes have been approved. Old business, we don't have any. New business, we are down to election of a vice president.
With Mr. Carter resigning from the board, we have an opening for vice president, so I think typically Lisa collects those nominations, or do we let does the chair
The
collect
chair
nominations?
does.
Okay.
The chair does what?
Well,
Ask for-
sorry, we usually are doing president and vice president at the same
Right.
time, it's the first time we've done it this way.
Sure.
Just ask for nominations.
I would ask for nominations for the position of vice president.
Do they have to be here? Like, I would nominate Mike Moore.
Okay.
Okay.
You don't have a second.
I mean, second.
You will second.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't do a good job of describing how to get it this.
We need a motion and a second. Are there any
To blame
other
me.
nominations?
Good.
Well, how does that work if he's not here to?
That's the
what I was
question.
wondering.
That's the question, yes.
Yeah, because I want to be honest, and I'm not trying to speak for Mike, I'm not 100% sure if he'll accept the nomination. Because I think with his new work duties, there's a little concern on the time. We could, if there are other nominations, we could take those.
I'll nominate Carol.
I would second that.
Okay, we have a nomination for Carol.
I could attempt to reach out and see if he'll accept it too. Actually, I can't do that legally.
I'm sorry, what?
I was gonna say I'll attempt to reach out and find out if he wants to accept his nomination, but I don't think I can do that legally, so.
Okay. We
I
need,
I think you can nominate them, but, I mean, obviously whether or not he accepts that.
Right, that would be the trick.
sure,
Can I withdraw my first nomination and nominate Carol?
right.
We'll just do that.
That might
I'll
make
withdraw
Mike,
my first
that might
nomination
make-
and nominate Carol.
yeah, that might make Mike is equally happy, I think, too.
Okay,
I have a
so
feeling.
you have withdrawn your nomination for Mike Moore. Is that legal, or do we just vote?
I think you can vote, either way, I think you can vote. Or you can table if you wanna wait and see, whatever you guys wanna do, but you could probably just vote.
Okay, are there, someone needs to make a motion to close the nominations.
I'll make a motion to close nominations.
Okay,
I'll second that.
okay. We have a motion and a second to close the nominations. All those in favor signify by aye for closing the nominations.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? So nominations are closed. So now we got two people to vote for. So I think probably a show of hands.
I think roll call, I guess.
Yeah.
Roll call.
Yeah.
Heffron,
What?
What are we voting for?
We have two nominees.
yeah,
Two nominees. So,
The-
well,
Mike Moore or Carol Heffron,
Okay.
vice president.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to vote first, that's lovely, 'cause the
Sorry.
roll call's alphabetical. Sorry.
Well, that sounds really, can I like say anything or do I just have to vote?
You can abstain or you can vote either way, I don't, I could try that. Curse the practice of going alphabetical.
Well, just because I know things, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, right.
I'll vote for myself, I guess.
Yes.
Just because.
okay, very good.
Pretty sure Mike doesn't.
That's so awful. I know.
Oden,
for yourself
condolences.
and everything.
I'm sorry?
You voted for yourself and.
I did, but because
All right, we are at the, so we need to administer the oath of office.
Okay, Carol, do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge the duties of the office of Vice President for the Centerville Community School District as now and hereafter required by law?
yes, I will.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That was weird.
Student representative, do we have one?
Yes, well, that's for,
Yeah, yeah. You have others coming too, though.
No, not anymore. I did, but.
No, that's perfect.
No
This is
school
great.
today.
You have a great representative.
Yes, yes, for sure.
Um,
Do you want us to like stand up here or
You
something?
come on up, be comfy, bring a chair.
Yeah, bring a chair.
Okay, can we just stand?
Yeah, that's fine.
You can stand if you like.
Okay, I'm Elizabeth Weinberg. I teach business at the high school. And this year, we have implemented a work-based learning program, which I'm very, very proud of. And so I wanted, Miss Ivy, she is one of my, I had 5 students last semester, who successfully completed the program, and Ivy was one of them. So I want her to tell you a little bit about what she did and her experience with that.
Hello, my name's Ivy. So Mrs. Weinberg reached out to me and said that it'd be a good program. And basically, I got hired onto the Appomattox County Conservation Board under Hannah Jones and Austin. And I interned there from 7th to 8th period during the school year, this semester. It's a very cool experience. I got a lot of hands-on and in-depth insight into what their job is. So I was really excited about it.
What are some things you did with that?
So I was working under Hannah, and she's a naturalist for the Appomattox County. So I got to make and run the programs, educational programs that she does. I helped with animal care at the facility, which included like cleaning, like working with different animal ambassadors. And I also got meetings ready. So I actually prepared for these meetings that they did at the Appomattox County Conservation Board. So it was very exciting.
Yeah, and just to brag on her a little bit, she did a program out of Kids World that she worked on throughout the semester. I think Hannah was gone on Monday, so that was like her day to work on her program, and so she got to present to the kids out at Kids World and did, it was about trees, like versus the summer versus winter months, and it was very interactive, and she did a really, really good job presenting that. And then I would get little tidbits of what she was doing throughout the semester, like she was doing prescribed burns, and she was helping with, they were redoing fence around the elk, and she was going through and doing a lot of that. Because I would talk to these kids once in a while, and I would say, what are you doing? And they're like, oh, I don't feel like I'm doing that much. And they start talking about it, and I was like, that's awesome, that's a lot that you're doing. So along with Ivy, I had 4 other girls. I had one at the hospital out in the lab. So she was just watching and learning how to, they had like a fake arm. She was learning how to take blood, and she wanted to be a phlebotomist, or so she thought. But after going through the program, she was like, you know what, this is not for me. Which is also good that she knows that now. I had a girl at River Hills with the dental side of things, and she thought she wanted to be a surgeon's assistant. And she wanted to work in some kind of pediatric form, and they could only take her 2 days a week, so we put her at Lakeview the remaining 3 days a week, which was awesome. She loved that. And now she wants to be a hygienist, because she also went to the hygienist side and she just asked a ton of questions. I had a girl at Jen's Trends and Beyond Beauty who was just watching, and she did some trainings and got to work the tanning beds and do things like that. And then Gracie's out, yeah, she was at Thomas Funeral Home, and she got to do a lot of hands-on things there, from picking up to getting people ready to meeting with families, and so she had a really good experience with that as well. But it was the whole thing. It was just really cool to watch them grow and to see them too. We presented to some kids at school at the end of the semester, and just to see their confidence at the end of the semester was really, really cool. So I'm excited to keep the program going. We have 13 kids this semester doing it, and so they are in different locations. Some of them have not yet been placed because they were coming to me even the day that the semester started, and they're like, hey, I think I wanna do this. So we have a lot of kids too who are on board for next year, and so we're getting the word out, and I think it's gonna be a really cool thing. So, that's our story. Yeah, and if any of you are business owners or you know people and they want to help a student and give them an experience, that would be awesome. I'm still trying to find some students to place, so. Yeah, thank you for letting us speak.
Very good,
Yes,
thank you very much.
You also had a really successful weekend this weekend, right?
Yeah. So I think all of our groups in speech got a 1 except for one, and then they got a 2. So we had a very successful district speech this year.
Pretty good. She is one heck of an actress. Holy cow.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks,
Yes, thank you.
That's cool.
Okay, we are ready for the update from OPA on the food service program.
Share my screen. There we go. Okay, so we did these business reviews as OPA and a company back in October. So I have updated them with more numbers since we have had more days of school. In case some of you don't know, my name is Belinda Potter and I am the Director of Nutrition here in Centerville. Here is a map of all the places where OPA is. There is 16 schools now in the state of Iowa that are OPA schools. I think in the last year we have added 5 of those. And from the talks of things, I think there's going to possibly be 6 more. What was really excited is that Centerville was asked to be a host of one of the schools that is interested to of becoming an OPA school. And we were able to showcase our high school. So the school that came was very impressed with what we do at our high school. This is just some of our people for Iowa that is support, that if I need help, I can reach out to them. Probably the main one is Heather Jonas, that would be my direct boss. And then here are some pictures of things at our school. The top one in the corner, this is a condiment bar that we have at our high school. The middle one is our staff at the middle school. And then the other picture is a fruit and vegetable bar that we have at Howard. We also have those at the high school and at the elementary. And then we send fresh fruit also to preschool and to Head Start. The bottom picture is a taco salad that was made by Lakeview. Those are very popular. The picture on the middle on the bottom is from National School Lunch Breakfast Week. We had a cotton candy parfait that was a favorite of the kids. And then we also have a strawberry parfait, which is also a huge hit with the kids. And then we have some new menu items that we keep trying, new recipes. Oops, sorry. Go back here. Crispitos is something that kids before used to have a lot of, and they have brought those back. Walking tacos is something that's really popular. I won't read all of them, but our salads are very popular too with the kids. And then there's a few towards the bottom that are still new that we have not done yet. As far as community engagement, I gave the football team some snacks at Pancake Day to throw out during the parade. And at the bottom is a new merchandiser slide that was bought with the Summer Feeding Program grant. We got a grant for 3 years, so this will be our last year on the Summer Feeding Program grant. And those merchandising slides are really nice. Those are at the high school. We have one that is just for pizza, and then the other one is for sandwiches that we load up and the kids come through and pretty much serve themselves. We did a student survey. We had 260 responses on the student survey. We had an overall rating of 3. The things that are most popular are cheeseburgers, the BLTE salad, walking tacos, nacho nachables. We do a pizza every day at the high school, and we do pizza every other day at the middle school, and pepperoni is their favorite. And then, of course, Chicken Patty Wednesday. That is the highest day of the week that we serve kids. At the beginning of the year, I did a growth plan of things that I would like to work on with this program. One of the things was to grow breakfast at the elementary and at the middle school, and at the high school also. We do a grab-and-go breakfast at the elementary to help increase participation there. So for kids that are coming to school late, they have a cart up in the hallway, and we have a breakfast there for them. At the middle school and high school, they do it after the first bell. And it's nothing to have 25 to 30 kids at the high school that grab breakfast there. We also, I would like to partner with the FFA. That is something that, like farm to school, fruit, stuff like that. That is something Kate is very passionate about too. We've talked about it a lot. I have visited with the ag instructor, and we will talk more come spring, and maybe we can get some things going there with the kids planting and being able to use it in our kitchens. We also would like to do a junior chef. I would like to do that in the month of February, have some kids come in, maybe make some pizza or talk about nutrition and have them help out a little bit, little hands-on. And then also I would like to do a little bit of fundraising. So our breakfast program, we serve 16.83% of our students for breakfast. And year to date, we have served 17,993 meals for breakfast. Currently, we do Second Chance. High school has done 1,218 meals with Second Chance. Howard has done 190, and the grab and go breakfast at Lakeview has also been 190. But we serve 1 cold option and 2 hot options every morning for breakfast. And then a recommendation that we've kind of talked about is that when we get to it, if we could, I would like to see us maybe be able to offer free breakfast or even breakfast for $1. So maybe things to think about for in the future. Our lunch program, we serve 43.73% of our students. So year to date, we have served 46,921 meals. Our current programs, we do a la carte. We have condiment bars at both high school and at Howard. We do fruit and vegetable bars in all the buildings. We have gulp stations, which gulp stations are water. So there are kids that do not like milk, but we do provide water for them in all of the buildings. And then we offer 3 to 5 choices at lunch. The elementary serves 3 choices, the middle school serves 4 choices, and the high school serves 5 choices every day. One thing I would like to do maybe for next year is to be able to cater the lunch on the lawn meal. That is something I feel like that would be great. It would also help our program, and it would be a catering. It would still be the same fun experience that the kids have now, but yet it would not be a loss to the food service program. We also do a non-congregate summer feeding in the summertime, and I think this ran 5 weeks, right, Kate? Does that sound right? 5 weeks, 6 weeks? I think it was 5 weeks. We served 17,640 meals. Families could come and pick up a week's worth of meals. That was breakfast and lunch, and those meals were for 7 days. So students ate consistent nutrition over the summer. Families were very, very grateful that we did that program. When they could come in and every kid got a gallon of milk, that really helped a lot too. Maybe a recommendation is if we could deliver to families that could not come to the school to pick up. Some families don't have transportation, or it is a lot for them to come if a kid is on a bicycle or something, to try to take all of that with them. So that is basically my presentation. Do you have any questions?
How does our school compare to others as far as percentage of kids eating?
About the same. Participation is really, really tough. And that is something that every school, every call that we have on Monday, that is something that everybody is brainstorming, trying to figure out how to increase it in every area. So our numbers are very comparable to the people around us.
Okay, that's good to know. Any other questions? Very good, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sorry to put you off. like
No, you
that.
are fine.
Thanks for working with us.
We are ready to discussion of board vacancy procedures.
Lisa and I could kind of talk about, that might be a good idea to walk you all through the process from here, because it's not on a lot of committees where you're appointing people like this, especially from elected positions like this. So we posted notice in the paper, the second we could, because we actually have a timeline that by law we have to have a position filled by, because 30 days. So, we requested in that, and Mike and I had kind of talked, and we spoke with the attorney to make sure we were following all the right legal steps here. So we requested letters of interest, to be sent to me that I'll share out to the board, by the 2nd. So that's next, I want to say Tuesday, Monday, I think, Monday, I believe. So then I'll share those letters with all of you probably Tuesday morning, or maybe before I go home Monday night, so you kind of know who's interested. I've had one letter come in, and I have 2 people who have talked to me about interest in submitting a letter. Really from there, you can use the criteria that you see fit. It can be based on the letter, which generally, I will be real with you, I've told those people, don't worry about writing anything fancy, a big campaign stump. So I might want to go back to anybody who's submitted and say, hey, I was wrong if we decide tonight. We would like a little bit of that. But I think you could just you could go off of what you think is a good fit for the board at that point. The appointment for that person will be through the end of the term. So Derek's term ended 2 years from now. So it'll be a little under a 2-year appointment, I guess, to that November, whatever that is, since we're in
November
late
27.
January, yeah. So between 1.5 years and 2 years of an appointment for somebody to maybe get a taste of what it's like to be on the board and see if they want to run again and be a part of our craziness that we have to offer. You're not beholden to anything specific with that, so you have every right. I would suggest, one thing that, as I was kind of thinking, what advice might I have us think about? Since anybody who puts their name in is interested in serving kids, it might be nice, like, as we think about who fits, just the merits, how they fit our organization, just to kind of keep that in mind, that all these people are willing to serve our kids and to give them a fair opportunity as you talk. And not that I'm worried about that with this group, I think we're all pretty cool people. I just felt like I should probably say that, so we all know, like, it's all public when we talk, so like, oh, one time I saw he had foot fungus, I don't know if I want to, like, that's maybe not fair. Foot fungus, I don't know, but.
So all of this will be an open meeting.
Yeah,
discussion.
yeah, because that's how we have to deliberate on that. And obviously, one thing that I think people would be tempted to do that we have to be very careful of not, and again, this group of people is very good about this, we really can't have discussed as a team beforehand and say who we want it to be. Like, we can't really get real deep. Like, I can send you the names of the people who are interested, and you really can't get together as a team and be like, all right, let's go cook out at Amanda's and come up with a plan here. We got to be careful about that. But maybe we only get one. Maybe we don't have anything to decide, and it's real easy. One person said they were interested, and it's like, well, condolences to you, friend, you're on the team. It's really low stress, but it's going to feel high stress for a moment, because I think all of us here are people, and we like to make people happy. So it feels bad when somebody will walk away from sad. Everybody I've talked to is like, I might be willing to do it for the sake of the school. So don't feel like when you come to it, nobody's called and been like, oh my gosh, I'm dying to be there, it's my life's dream, I wanted to be an astronaut or a school board member. So like, you're okay, it's gonna be all right, it's just a matter of kind of seeing what fits kind of to you. I am gonna invite the people who put their name in to come to that February 9th meeting, just to kind of sit in and see how we function, kind of know us a little bit. And if they walk out and say, hey, don't vote on me, then they'll know like, oh, this isn't the team for me. And maybe we could give them just a quick moment to kind of say hi to you, tell you what they do. I know it's a small town and we all generally kind of know each other, but it might be nice if you don't know somebody to hear like, oh, okay, well, I've got a kid in the district, or my kids went through the school, or I was a teacher for a while, or something, something to that effect, so you know something about them. So I won't pressure them to give a 5-minute speech to you by any means, but it might be nice for you to be able to put a face to a name, if possible. Technically, by law, they don't have to be here for you to vote on them for that. We can administer the oath of office within 10 days. So it's all pretty laid back and easy, and it's just about getting somebody on the board to help us keep working hard for kids and doing the right thing, and a nice varying perspective, because we really don't want anybody who feels like a rubber stamper on the team, because then we're not gonna be any better for it. So hopefully somebody that can give us a push.
I just want to let you know I will not be at that meeting.
Thank you. Yeah. And so since it wouldn't be like a quorum thing, you
Okay.
could probably share with the president if you have any thoughts that you want shared with the group
Okay.
at the meeting. That would be legal,
Okay.
Under open meetings. We got all that fun training, right? We're all so good at it now. Yay. Any questions about that process or what we do from here? Because I feel like when you're somebody who's kind of living this all the time and you talk to other people who are living it, it feels like, oh, that's second nature. I know how that goes. But when you're somebody who's like, okay, this is my like 5th meeting, talk to me a little bit more. I want to make sure that I'm being helpful. Is there anything that makes you worry, or that you just, how does this work? It'll work just like we did with the vice presidency where we can nominate people. The good news is, I think, in this case, we'll know for a fact that the person wants to be nominated. So then I don't have to be like, I'm so sorry, Sarah. I don't, like, I felt really bad. That, like, I'm so sorry, he may have told me he's maybe not super stoked. So we'll know that they want to be nominated, and you'll be able to feel good about that. And you don't necessarily have to do it where you nominate all the people who put their name in and vote on those. You could decide to nominate one and then request to close nominations if you feel like you're comfortable, and then vote on that one. And if they succeed, then move ahead, and if they don't, well, then we might have to nominate another at that point. So you got a little flexibility. There's not a lot of tight procedure on this one. Kind of a weird deal. Anything you think I should add, Mike?
There is the option that someone can petition for an election. When does that expire?
It's within 14 days
Yeah.
of the posting of the
Okay,
notice.
so we got about another week.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so if we do that, then I can't remember how the scheduling works, but that'll be at cost to the district. So it would just go, does management fund pay for that?
No, operating fund.
Operating fund, okay. So it would be the operating fund that would pay for it at that point. I think it's what, a couple $1,000, $2,000, more than that, okay. Okay, so it might be a bit of money.
Yeah, but I just wanted you to know that
Yeah,
someone can petition the
Yeah.
board for an election.
yeah.
And we got 1 week left to sort of ride that out, see if
Yep. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, I just think that we just have we have the budget for it is all, and, figure out what to reduce to pay for it.
Any questions? Moving on, approve the Lakeview Bleacher Project contract. There's been some questions about that, and Rochelle from FRK will be at a Zoom meeting on the 9th to explain some things about that project. And so I would ask that we table that until the next meeting. I would do a motion to that effect.
She's offered to come in, she's just gonna give us that time to kind of explain the questions too, which is kind of nice. And I figured I don't know if most of the board now has had a chance to work with an architect very much yet. So this will be a really great experience. We're all gonna get to level up together. It's gonna be fun.
So when is it she's going to
On
come?
the ninth,
The night.
Okay,
our
so
very
the
next meeting.
Okay.
Yes.
I was just, the only thing was concerned about an architect and a structural engineer are two different people.
They are, however, by state law, an architect or an engineer can make the plans for this kind of project, because there's no structural modification happening.
Okay.
And they-
So,
And within FRK, they do have structural engineers that do
Yeah.
look at it. It's
Okay.
just Rochelle's the architect that basically approves it all. From
so,
their firm.
and I didn't know that language, structural modification, until the day, I kind of talked to Mike a little bit, we were kind of trying to ask why it would be one or the other. And so, in the case of where you're gonna do a structural modification, where there's actual differences in like what's load bearing, I guess, or whatever, that part might even be the right term for that. But something that actual changes the real structure there, we would probably want an engineer, it sounds like. In this case, we're adding on like a handicap ramp, and then, sandblasting, I think, and we're putting some new wood in some places, and there's a new step into the, press box there. We are not, as part of this project, and we have to be very careful that we know this, we're not modifying the actual, press box. So that will be a project for another time. Unfortunately, to modify the press box, we have to do a whole bunch of different changes to that, for that to catch up to the codes it have to catch up to. So we don't get to do some of the like nicey stuff in there that we wanted to do when we first started looking at things, unfortunately.
The drawback to the press box is if we ever renovated or modified that, it'd be required to put in an elevator, which is
And
a lot of
then-
money.
Yeah.
A lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of expense there. So,
Kind of a bummer, because it would be cool, but, yeah.
so, Rochelle will meet with us and hopefully can answer some of our questions and concerns. So I need a motion to table this.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to table this until tonight. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. It has been tabled. Director reports.
As we get into director reports, I believe we have an addition to our student representative report. Would it be okay to?
Oh, sure. I
We'll
didn't
just
know
call
that.
Ava a director. She's the director of the girls wrestling tournament.
Hi, everyone.
That's named after her, colloquially.
Our invitationals?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah, we have another representative coming. Do you want me to?
How close is the other representative to, we could put you off till the end we'll put you off till the end of directors and see how that goes.
Yeah.
Okay,
That'll work.
that'll be fine.
How about we start with A for athletic?
Hey, for athletic.
So Jared, you're up.
Okay, me. My report kind of has everything going on right now for the most part. We just activities wise, we just hosted district speech on Saturday. I'd like to give a big shout out to Molly Van Rokel on that. She did a lot of legwork on that and planning and organization. And it was a great event. The guy from the state had nothing but positive things to say about it, and he said, next year if we choose to put it again, and they were to us, you can see us, having more schools come to our center than did this year, just because it was ran so well. And a lot of that goes to Molly and everything that she did leading up to that. Other than that, we kind of made it through our busiest week of the year with 4 days of wrestling at Lakeview with the second annual Ava Allen Classic and 16 girls wrestling teams, and then our JV boys on Friday, our varsity boys on Saturday, then the MAC Club tournament. So it was a very fun, filled week there at Lakeview. Our boys basketball team has a big matchup tomorrow night at Knoxville. They're currently in second place at 12-2, and if they win, it'll be a tie for the conference. So, hopefully they can get the job done tomorrow night. Then kind of looking ahead, we're kind of getting towards the postseason on different things. The girls on Friday night will be up at Williamsburg for their regional to qualify for state next week. So I'll be going up. Ava and the girls asked me if I'd come, so I'm going to go up and cheer them on and be there Friday night while some of my assistants take care of things here. But it'll be good. Conference tournament for wrestling is on Saturday. And then, we look ahead to next month where we have the district wrestling will be here again. Middle school robotics will have their competition. We host the conference quiz bowl, so it'll be a fun month of February as well.
Any questions? Thank you, sir. Sounds like you've been real busy. Is this our student representative?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No,
We were
that's
told
okay.
6.
You're okay. Well, we can take you guys.
Sure, let's do her.
That's all right.
Come on
Yeah,
down.
go for it.
You guys pull up here
Yeah.
if you want.
Go ahead, Katie, what was your, if you want to?
Sure,
I'll
jump
stand.
in.
You're
I can tell you
okay.
at least one of them
Oh,
speaks
you're
please.
We have a lot of the same things to say as Mr. Johnson just did. We have the long wrestling weekend. The girls are really good. Our boys are doing really good. We have girls wrestling on Friday districts. The only thing that would be changed for wrestling is getting a flow worker because we had the youth tournament and the girls tournament started late, and so we're working on those improvements for next year. Just so like brackets are set up better, if anyone knows how that works.
Girls and boys basketball are both doing really well. We won over Sheraton, I-35 and Avia last week, and we're 12-2 overall and 9-1 in the South Central Conference.
For the future, winter sports are coming to an end, and spring sports are starting. So that would be track, soccer, what else?
Golf,
Golf,
boys tennis.
Boys
boys
tennis.
tennis, yeah, because spring was moved to the fall. And we have softball, and all those meetings have been set up, and the softball open gyms are starting. So that's all going well. We forgot swim right now.
Oh yeah, swim. They're right now. I'm not sure.
We have 2 foreign exchange students on the boys swim team, and that's really good to have those involvements.
I know at least one of them was really liking it. He's told me himself. So that's
Yeah, I think our numbers are up in that program.
Yeah.
There's a big freshman group
Mhm.
out too. So,
That's a win.
and they go to Decorah for their conference meet on Saturday, and then next week is their regional in Johnston.
If you think about that, girls, Decorah is pretty far away to go for a meet. But what would you say, about 4 hours?
Yeah, 4.5 hours. So they're gonna go up Friday and stay overnight. And
That's the joy of being the smallest district in the state that offers swimming, by the way. That's a long ride.
There's about 13 kids in the photo.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I
mean,
think
that's
there's
real
14 or 15 out.
Yeah, I think really in all sports, we have a lot more involvement this year.
yeah.
I know mostly wrestling, there's like 20 girls out in middle school girls alone. And so it's bigger than our high school boys and girls together. And then our swim team's growing a lot.
Seems like our student sections are doing a good job cheering for each other at different
Mhm.
events now, too.
Yeah, we've really been trying to rally up people for our swim sections.
Oh, yesterday we had district speech. Yeah, that seemed to go really well. I have some friends in the program. I know there were a few groups that got ones, which is the highest rating. I can tell you if you want to know.
I believe all but one, right? And the other
Yeah,
one was
4
pretty
groups
close,
are
it
Jason
sounds like.
State.
And one is superior, right? So one is superior, and 2 is excellent. So even the group that got 2, they did
Yeah,
really
they
well.
did well. Ensemble acting, we have 2 of those going to state, a group improv and a group mime, and then TV news. They're all going to state.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be a really good year for all of our activities.
Yeah, actually, this group speech is actually very big this year. It was not as big last year, I don't believe. I think the teams were.
Mhm, yeah. Let's see, drama is preparing for their spring play. I think honor band just happened.
Yeah, I just went to an honor band with some other section leaders, and I thought that went pretty well. So,
Do we know what the spring play is? Have they announced it?
I think they have announced it, but I don't remember off the top of my head.
My understanding is it's got a series of vignettes to it, they're tied to the vignettes, or at least something similar to that, because apparently there are a lot of very similarly length roles, is what I was told, so. Kind of a comedy, I was told too, yeah.
Do you guys know what time Friday night the girls' district starts at Williamsburg?
We're at Williams.
4 o'clock, I believe, is the round of 32.
Is it 4 or is it in the morning?
No, it's 4 at night. So the first round's at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So.
Is it just Friday night? It doesn't.
Yeah, it's just Friday night, so they'll wrestle all the way through Friday night.
And it has 32 schools there.
I don't know how many schools are there.
I think it's 24.
24. I just know that on the sheet it said round of 32 when I read it. So.
Yeah, hopefully we have some girls qualify this year.
Yeah, because I got pink hair, right?
Mr. Johnson is going to dye his hair pink if any of us go to state.
I heard
Oh,
that.
that's lovely.
We'll have 4 girls.
That's lovely.
So next year we're for other clubs, student council, NHS, student council will be hosting district conferences next year.
Around this time, they'll be preparing next year for district conference.
And the two of you will really be involved in that, right?
Well, he's graduating.
It'll be Miss Braccio. Will be.
But as much as we can prepare for it this year, because she's vice president
Yeah.
and I'm treasurer of the council. That'll be good. I think, I'm really happy to see the high school hosting a lot of things
Yeah.
with our new building. You know, I think it's great for hosting with just the layout.
NHS is selling carnations right now. So you go around and you buy a heart, and then you put the person's first and last name on the heart, and then you go give it to their.
And you can write like a sweet note.
And you can write a note, and then you give it to their. I think it's distributed second hour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then they get a carnation of that color, and it's really nice.
It's a fundraiser. They're not hosting the winter dance, so all we have is homecoming and prom. NHS normally does like a winter dance, but we're wanting to do something else this year. We don't have anything planned yet, though. If anyone has ideas for what NHS can do, we want to host something for the kids, but we're not doing the dance this year. We're thinking we do that. Go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't make that guys off, you're good.
Yeah, it's spring, people are starting to prepare for prom. Other news,
Oh, Mr. Lane reopened his food pantry.
yeah, Mrs. Weinberg was doing it before.
And it's open on Wednesdays.
I think it was good.
Yeah. All right, I think that's it for what's happening at the high school.
I don't know if Mr. Johnson has said this, but for openings, we have head assistant football cheer, CHS musical assistant, CHS assistant, softball coach, A3 volleyball coach, and a Howard Head softball and assistant baseball coach. So,
Thank you guys for sharing a lot about what's going on board. Do you have any questions? for us?
I do.
Yeah.
a whole lot of information.
It seems as though last year they weren't even sure they'd have enough girls for a girls basketball. But it just seems like student involvement has just exploded.
Yeah,
Why? No, the adults can't tell me.
I think that, like, since people are, like, already doing things, the freshmen, they get up there and they see all their friends, like, joining things, and especially, like, the juniors and seniors, I think they see, like, oh, this person does this sport and this sport, and I like them, you know? So they're like, I think I wanna do that sport too.
yeah.
And I think
Soccer is a great example.
Yeah, I just joined soccer actually last year because I think students are really good at recruiting for their sport.
Yeah.
Because it was actually a couple of my friends who were like, hey, like, we might not have a girls soccer team and we really want one. And I was like, well, I want them to have a team. So I joined and I ended up loving it. And now I'm doing it again this year.
Yeah, I think a lot of teachers are like telling students, oh, try to recruit people, try to get more people out for your sport. So me, being the only girl wrestler the last 2 years, I've just been like marketing, asking every girl I know, like, hey, would you be interested in wrestling?
Yeah.
And then, you as a senior in soccer, you're trying to recruit me for soccer.
Yeah.
And like freshmen, underclassmen, juniors.
I think, yeah, just the people in the sport are really passionate about it, and so they like go and recruit. And I think-
That's the secret.
Yeah, I think it's the students, and yeah, I think I wouldn't have tried to market wrestling as much if I didn't have teachers telling me like, yeah, hey, go ask that girl if she wants to wrestle, or,
Sounds like you probably have some good coaches too then.
Yeah.
That they're making you passionate enough to wanna do it.
Yeah.
And recruit people.
So how many girls are on the team?
We started off with 6, and we have 2 interns, so there's 4 of us. But that went from 1 person
Yeah,
to 6.
that's really great.
That's
And
great.
then we have, I think, a couple coming up in 8th grade next year, and then we have like 15, 20 girls in like 6th and 7th grade.
Wow.
So it's crazy. It's a lot of girls.
That's good.
Yeah, it is.
But I hear they're performing really well.
Right, Mrs. Donalds? They're doing great.
They're doing great. I'll tell you what, I couldn't say enough about our coaches. I will tell you what, that couple themselves, but they're just doing a great job. Our kids are motivated, their work's handed in, their grades are good. I mean, our coaches are coaching our kids to be students first and athletes second, but we've got a ton of enthusiasm around our
No,
wrestling
yeah, I think
program.
that's great.
Yeah,
Being a lot
it
more
is.
strict on you have to get your grades.
I do see like a little shift in some of the wrestlers when it comes to wrestling season. Like some of the boys too, they're like, oh, it's wrestling season, I've got to get my grades to be better.
Yeah.
It's all
But
working
yeah,
in
it's
the right
hard,
direction.
but
Yeah.
I think we've been along with it on the roles. It does help.
Good. I like it.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you very much, ladies. Enjoyed it very much.
Have a good night.
Ava, let's moving to the fall.
See you for school
You're
tomorrow.
open in the spring, you could play soccer.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it.
Oh, yeah, we're good.
Good job,
We're good,
girls.
yeah.
Good. Thanks for coming. Yep, that's good. You're free to go to Instagram. See you. Thank you very much.
Hey,
Hi, thanks.
those girls know how to give a report.
They were thorough.
And Jared doesn't even need to give a
I know.
report, just have him come.
Okay, we're back to director reports.
Okay, so then I believe we're at C for curriculum.
Or P for preschool, no, okay.
Oh.
It's fine.
Let's talk about that.
I have my report in there. We've done a lot of work with the SAMI and the ESSA work that each building is working at. We've actually had up since this. I talked about how we've done it and turned it into the state and got some really nice reviews from the state, which we don't get always. So I'll make sure and emphasize that. That the elementary one that was looked at by our school improvement consultant was thought it was very precise and great. So that's been awesome. But also that we've also had some follow-up meetings with those, and it's just great to hear what's all happening in the buildings and those plans that we created and are being followed, and the progress that we're making on those. So that's been a good thing. We've also been working on bringing assistive technology to all students, because there's a lot of accessibility with Google that we have at our fingertips that is allowed for a lot of things, including the ISAFs. So working through some of that with all of our teachers so that they can help students better utilize those things and have accessibility in their classrooms. So just a lot of great things happening. Teachers learning a lot of new things, but embracing them and putting them into play is so awesome to see. So.
F for food.
So in December, second through fourth, we had our state review, triennial review. All the districts that use food service management companies have a 3-year review. It's very detailed and in-depth. She spends 3 days here. The first day, they come in and they look at all of our paperwork, all of our free and reduced, make sure everybody's being processed properly. They spend a day at our food service at one of our buildings. The state picks which building they go to. They just let us know. we had a really, really good review. It's the state, they're always gonna try to find something. In 29 years, she said that they've only had one district that didn't have any findings at all. So we just had a few very minor ones. They give us about a month to have responses in for any corrections that need to be done. Several of those, sorry about my voice, we had corrected before the review was even over. Not only is it our district's responsibility to have all the paperwork in order, they're looking at how the food service, how the kids are coming through the line, how they're being charged. Belinda has done an excellent job making sure that the kitchen staff are preparing the food properly, are making sure that the kids are getting reimbursable meals, and that all of those kids are getting counted properly as they come through the line. So we're super appreciative of Belinda and her staff, that they run such an excellent program. So that's done. We'll have another one in 3 more years. This is my second year in this position, so now that I'm really starting to get to know more of the procedures and processes, I look to have an even better review in 3 years.
Any questions, comments? Sounds like it went well, thank you.
I believe then we are at M for maintenance.
Okay. After what seemed like an eternity, we finally have students in the band room at Lakeview again. That's always good news. We've been working on, we have installed an ice machine in the home ec room at the high school. And started replacing some code base in the hallways in the tech wing. It really makes a difference. If you go down there and see it, it really makes a difference. We did that, and I say that to say this, we did that while things were quiet, but in my industry or in my department, things don't stay quiet for too long. As you can see from this weekend, the heat is working again at Lakeview. Other than that, just trying to maintain, trying not to break anything else.
T for Tech?
Getting ready to start looking into E-rate. For the people who are new and don't know, E-rate is, we get a grant or funding, we get 70% off of like big technology purchases. So looking at some battery backups on that one. I do that every year, right at this time of year. We're also getting ready to start doing some testing. Terry's school is doing NAP testing. Is that the correct way to say that? NAP testing.
Get them that probably before, haven't you? The federal government picks you, blindly tells you what 50 kids have to participate, and makes us check the computers.
So we've been prepping those, and then I actually have a teacher who uses Pearson to test, which is what we use for ISAPS. So I got that ready a little earlier this year than I normally would, and that is already good to go. So we'll be ready for ISAPS testing too.
We had a little bit of an outage last week. That was caused by
A Natel fiber break.
Yeah.
We were out at this building, preschool, and the bus barn for basically the entire day. But it was
Cameron, I
running.
think, started his morning, that morning, what was it, like 4:30 you told me?
Not that. Luckily not that.
Okay, I thought
it was
that
like
early.
6:30.
Okay, good.
Yeah. No,
But he was on it from pretty early on, just trying to get on top of that and make sure that we had good coverage, and did a really nice job staying on top of them with that, so that was good. That's directors.
Hey, I want to ask about esports.
Okay.
Oh yeah, don't include it. We're 3-2 right now, so we got 2 more games left in the main season, and I see us probably making playoffs. We just gotta win 1 game in playoffs and go to state. So
Very good.
I'm pretty optimistic about it, honestly.
All right, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Who's next?
Shall we move to principals?
Principal reports, here it is.
Julie, do you want to add anything to the school, or do you feel pretty good?
Yep.
So then, Brian, the elementary.
Okay, so pretty much everything's in here. I'll just highlight a few things. I guess I'm kind of highlighting. As I look through, I'm highlighting some things that came into our building or community-wise. I just want to make sure I highlight in this type of setting. First, mention on their work-based learning. We did have a great young lady that came in this last semester, and we have 2 young men right now that are in our building. At any time we can get high school age kids in our building, especially young men in our building, play basketball. Our kids get to watch them, they look up to them, but then they get to see them in the classroom. That's a win-win. So I've worked with both those young men, and I want to make sure that they're excited to be there too. So I spoke to them and their teacher, and I said, hey, maybe we'll PE on Friday. We'll get you kind of psyched up to be here, and then you got the whole week to help kids. So they're doing a great job, and I've already heard like teachers say, hey, we want them to come to our classroom. So that's a great thing, and great program. Also want to highlight, we've had one author come in that's on there in the board report, and she came in K through 2nd grade, and then we have another author coming in March, 3rd through 5th grade. So last year we had 2 authors come, if I remember, 2, maybe 3, and then this year we've had a couple authors come. I didn't put it in this board report, but you might have saw that we have a teacher, Tabitha Emmon, that's also just published a couple books. So I've already talked to her. I'm like, hey, let's line you up because we gotta have you come in and do the kids. But that's something that's really a highlight for our kids. He's like, oh wow, books, and so that's something we'll definitely get going. I've got some numbers in there. The one that I want to highlight that I highlight is the admin team. We did postcards this year, and we had a lot of great numbers, positive numbers, but just the postcard thing was something that I gave teachers, just like, hey, this is something I'd like you to do, but I don't want to track. I just want it to be organic and natural, that we're just going to have postcards, and I want you to send out positive messages to kids. And it was just a positive highlight that we had 500 send all the way through December. So I had bought 500 for the year, and so we had sent out 500. I don't track them. I just get a chance to look at them before I send them out, and just teachers doing the right thing. Just sending them to kids that you've already got kids that we can give them positive notes because they're positive, but just really good notes that, hey, that kid had a really rough week. I think we should give them a pickup, and just people are just naturally doing that. So we've just got great people, and they're doing the right thing. And then down here towards the bottom, again, highlighting some things that came into our building. We had Apponeos County Family Alliance that donated to every 5th grader some hygiene things. We had done that in the past, I know, Terry, and when I talked to Terry and the nurses, that's something that we really needed going again, and so I reached out and they said, yeah, sure. So that was a great thing to get to our students. And then the Apponeos County Sheriff's Department came in and gave some toys to the kids as well. So just some highlights from our community. We've got a great community that has done a lot of great things for our kids. So a lot of other things in the report, but just wanted to highlight those couple of great things that are happening at Lakeview.
I probably in the same way, I tried to share like kind of the big ideas from our, what we've been working on with our Department of Ed work through the SAMI process there. I shared the data. Our attendance is looking up compared to where we were last year at this time. But I think it's really important, I said this to the staff when we met and talked about it the day before yesterday. You know, we're not comparing the same things. I mean, just to be real up front, that's a whole group of students that went on to the high school. So when I share comparable numbers to last year, every group's different. So I just, we're in the right place, but I want to make sure you know, I realize those are different kids that I'm comparing to compared to this data. The other thing is, I was really pleased to see that I feel like we have a large number of students being successful in earning passing grades. We've really worked, like I said, I couldn't say enough good things about every coach that has worked in our middle school this year, but our kids will even say things like, can I sit out of activity time to get this done? If I don't have it done, coach said I have to sit out tonight and practice. I mean, our kids, you can tell they're really positively influenced by those ladies and gentlemen, so I feel like they're driving their own desires to be successful before there's a failure there. So that's been real positive too. The bottom part there that I wanted to share with you, I shared with our staff the other day was, you know, we screen our students every fall, winter, and spring, And this last year, with the help of Tyne Sulzer, our building instructional coach, she kind of took off right where Paige Warren had led us to last year. We saw a 14% increase in our 7th grade students in the area of reading. And I know it seems silly to continue to have that conversation, but it's really about phonemic phonics. It's about teaching kids the blends and the sounds and the vowels and that. And yeah, it is something that, you know, in a perfect world, we wouldn't be teaching at the middle school. But what we know is that research says that if the kids don't know that, then they can't put the words together, then the comprehension struggles. So we saw a huge improvement in both our 7th and our 8th grade students. But I just gotta give the credit where that's due. That's our kids and our teachers. We taught teachers how to do new interventions. You know, on top of having a lot of new staff, and there were numerous ones who were like, hey, can Mrs. Sulzer come in and make sure I'm doing this right? Can Mrs. Sulzer come in and model that for me one more time and that? And when we screened the kids, you know, it kind of got to where we were both in a small room in the back of the building, and I'd be like, hey, what do you think's making a difference? And I told our teachers, it was amazing. Our kids are like, the first person's like, well, Mr. Donalds makes us read every day. Well, good, that's the point, you know. But the kids could complement the work they were doing with their teachers as to why they're growing. And that's the beauty of it. When they see that, they feel that, and then their confidence goes, I hope so. Yeah, I couldn't say enough good things. Again, positive, like you said. Our police department came in and provided some meals for some families that might have been lacking that in the days that we were off over break. They adopted a couple families that had had some situations this year and provided gifts for kids. So same thing, lots of people willing to reach out and make sure our kids have what they need in our district. So we're pretty fortunate for that.
And talk about a cheerleader in Tyne Sulzer. If anybody's gonna get him to do anything.
Yeah, yeah.
She's, or else.
Yeah, fair enough. I kinda need
I'm
that.
kidding.
I kinda need that in my life.
Yeah,
so.
we all do sometimes. Yeah, she's
Any
great.
questions for Ms. Hunter? Nope. Moving on.
Jen?
Okay, as you are aware, our first semester ended last Friday. Teachers and students, I think we've put in a lot of hard work and things are seeming to pay off for us in some big areas like attendance. So want to give a shout out to Jason Reed. We're lucky that we get to house him in our building, so we see his work on a regular basis with students, and he does a fantastic job in terms of jumping in a vehicle with our counselor and doing a home visit, or just going and checking things out to see where kids are at. But data-wise, just at the high school, last year at this time, we had 36% of our students, what we would call chronically absent first semester. Of those 36%, 60% of those exact students are not chronically absent this year. So that's a pretty big jump and a big gain for us. So total number of chronically absent students so far first semester, we're just under 20%. So we are making gains in the right direction there, and I really feel like Jason and Robin are doing outlandish work there with kids, specifically on barriers that are causing them to not want to be there, or causing them to not be able to be there for lots of different reasons. But kudos to those guys, they're doing a great job. We are going to offer ACT testing for our juniors and a few seniors that didn't get a chance last year on February 25th. So we got some extra work going into prep for that for our students to get them ready for that post-secondary opportunity. Just a couple, I mean, I've got a lot of stuff in here, but just a couple other things I want to highlight. Our career fair is scheduled for March 27th, so if you don't have that on your calendar, put that down. That is a fantastic day to come see our kids really digging into what's available in our community and surrounding areas. And many of you were at the career fair last year in our gym, but it's packed, and Jill Whistler really does a fantastic job of leading that charge for us and putting on a great day for kids. So March 27th is the day.
What day of the week is that? Do you
I
know?
believe
Friday.
It's a Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a morning on a Friday because we have an early out that day, so they're
Okay.
gonna. And some of the feedback I think Jill said she got last year from people was it was a little long of a day, so she is gonna condense it down just a little bit.
Just a couple other things. The pictures that are at the bottom of my report Our freshman students, our Gear Up grant is still running strong and provides opportunities for college visits for those students, and that group specifically went to William Penn a couple weeks ago. That grant has also provided graphing calculators for every freshman in our building, along with a case and a charger, so they've added that to their pockets for math and science and are already using those in coursework. Professional development, just to echo what Julie and Terry both alluded to in terms of our work with the Department of Ed goals that are in our building. We're still continuing at the high school to work on student engagement, highly effective instructional practice, and differentiation with our students. So those are definitely in the forefront of all of our professional development, and our building leadership team does a fantastic job of organizing and help orchestrate the pieces that need to go into place for that, along with our instructional coach agenda. And so I feel like we're making progress there. Just something coming up with families and community. Each spring, we like to do parent and student meetings in the evenings for each of our grade levels. So coming up early in February, we'll meet with senior parents and students, just make sure that they are set for this final semester, get any big idea things and answer any questions out of the way, just so we're ready for the big stuff, the prom, the graduation, that kind of stuff that comes at the end of the year. And then each following month, we'll meet with the next grade level, so juniors will be at the end of February, and then into March with our sophomores and so on, just to continue to set these kids up for what comes next in their high school career. We like to get parents involved in that and invite them to come in and ask any questions that they might have, just to make sure we're on the same page to do what's best for their kids. That's it for me.
Any questions or comments there? All right, that brings us down to personnel business procedures.
Pretty standard items this time around.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve.
I'll second
We
that.
have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Approved. We're down to the superintendent's report.
Okay, a few items. One, most important, I'm sure that my announcement at this time tonight will be equally as well received among our students as it was this time last night. We get to have school tomorrow. It's so exciting because we have heat at Lakeview. You may notice I'm in slightly more workman attire than I would typically wear. I certainly am not a great physical work person, obviously, but today I thought I'd be moving desks with Aaron and Brian to try to make sure we could have school tomorrow if that second grade wind didn't improve. And we didn't have to because Aaron got the heat fixed, so I didn't have to use these hulking muscles here today to help out after all. We have some data that we're working on at the statewide superintendent Zoom with Director Snow. She had an attendance researcher on that talked about the high correlation between good attendance and students participating in sporting activities. We're working on taking that data and tying it to just involvement in activities for our school, hoping to put that together. Jared is actually working with Jason Reed on that. Something eventually we'll plan to share with you, but anecdotally, we see a high correlation for our students who are involved, being at school on time every day. And we did see a very high passing rate today in the administration meeting. Jenny and Jared shared that we only had one failing grade to cause an academic ineligibility for a student who was a participant in an activity. So our activity participation is having the effect on students that we wanted it to. So the board set out a few years ago, a couple of years ago, I guess it was, 3 years ago, a while back, we made some goals, and one of the big goals that we set was making sure there was something at CHS for every kid to participate in outside of just going to class during the day. Not that that's not an important part, but we want them to have a connection to the school. And we're seeing our rate of participation increase as we add all these different activities. We're even talking about an additional activity that we might add with a community partner. So just seeing kids involved in things, and we're seeing that the grades improve, we're seeing the attendance improve in collaboration with that. It's weird, because that's the very thing that when the director of the DE came to Centerville at the beginning of the year to talk to us, we actually had some of the best attendance growth, reduction in chronic absenteeism in the AEA, our region. So she came to give us a visit as like her example for the region, and that's what we shared was our major belief as to why students were doing a better job of being at school, because they had that connection that they wanted to be here. So then when she brought in a researcher that echoed that, I thought, gosh, that pans out pretty well for us. Obviously, I'm kind of excited about the NAEP thing. I said in the admin meeting today that sounded fun. I know testing is not fun, but it is kind of cool to get to be one of the schools that has kids taking that NAEP testing. So when you see like comparisons of the United States to other countries or within states, they make comparisons. A lot of times they'll use that NAEP data because it's the closest thing to apples that we have in that kind of educational research. The tests aren't always the best. They're not always curriculum-based necessarily, and they can be a little off base for the grade level, but it is interesting to be a part of that. Wanted to share, just to make sure with the colleagues in the area so that it's clear today, a lot of the reason that we needed to call off today was based on the heat at Lakeview and not necessarily on the temperature this morning. So it actually had not reached the threshold that most districts in our region use, or that we typically use. So I just wanted to make sure we all work pretty well together, and I wanted to make that comment so that everybody kind of knew that. We have one kind of informational item here. I talked to a couple board members about the school report cards. This is something that the state puts out each year, and they'll rate schools on like your testing. Essentially, it's your testing data and your attendance data. And we, for most of our buildings, often will get hit for a subgroup, it's called. And this is why you'll see like our rating will look lower, will actually be reported as lower, even though our students might score higher in some cases than some other schools, because we have what's called a subgroup of students. In this case for us, it's typically our students with IEPs. So we are one of only a couple school districts in our general few county area that has enough students with IEPs because of our size that we have to report a subgroup. So essentially what you're seeing in a lot of those cases is sometimes they'll use a growth measure, but primarily if those students are not proficient, you'll see a ding on our report card. So they'll actually take our rating and lower it one. Iowa is a non-categorical special education state. So what that means is, if you've ever talked to people in Missouri, for example, they're categorical. So in order to get an IEP, special education in Missouri, you have to have a designated disability, and there's usually a list. The federal government kind of has a list of these disabilities, and most states kind of adhere to that list. In Iowa, what you have to do to receive an IEP is you have to be considered significantly discrepant from your peers academically. So, and that's not an IQ test. That's like in reading, you're reading typically over one grade level below your peers. So when we establish that a kid will have an IEP, we're saying that kid is not proficient, right? And then the test is saying, well, wait, that kid's not proficient, so you're in trouble for that. But one thing that I'm really proud of our principals for, that I think maybe less scrupulous people could choose to not exit people when a student becomes proficient, which is, it's unethical, borderline at least, I would say. Our principals do a pretty good job of recognizing when a student is proficient, we exit them, which makes them no longer an IEP student, so it doesn't count for that data for the school report card. So it's kind of a weird catch-22, and I think I set out to explain this well, and as I talk, I realize it's convoluted. So that's the beauty of school report cards, just so you know, completely convoluted and crazy, but that item is one that kind of comes up for people a lot of times, like, well, how does that work? What does that mean? The good news is, this is a very small preview of what Julie will do far better on February 23rd, which is where we are preparing a data review for the board, because we want you to have an idea of where we are as a district. I'm going to tell you there are some great celebrations, and there are some great next steps. in there, some things that I'm very excited to see that we still have some good low-hanging fruit that we can take and we can still capture and make gains for kids. But there have been some really nice improvements in the last few years due to a lot of work that's being done at each of the buildings. So there's kind of just a preview to jump into that for you. And then kind of the second piece isn't as informational, but just something that I shared it out this morning. And sorry again for the late weekly update. We actually had electricity problems at home and heat problems at home as well as at the school. So I was kind of battling at both places here. But we are sending out a survey. We've had the 4-day exploratory committee together a few times, and they prepared a survey to collect some information from our public on this. I will tell you, what I really like about this committee is it's pretty split. I'd say there's about 50% of the committee who really wants a 4-day week, and 50% of the committee who really doesn't want a 4-day week. And there's very few people that I'd say are wishy-washy. And I think what that does for us is that gives us the opportunity to say, well, that group's gonna come up with something across the aisle here, because at the end of the day, whatever they bring to recommend to you, they can't recommend both. So the survey that we're asking for, we've identified a few areas that we see as particular challenges for any community in exploring a 4-day week, and maybe even more so on our community, so like childcare, food insecurity, activities for students, and making sure that we're equitable, things of that nature. I'm going to put the survey out for parents and community members tomorrow via Facebook, and we're going to push it on Infinite Campus. And then the middle school and the high school are actually going to give it to students, and they've got a spot to check students, so we can separate that data out, because you look at it differently from those different groups, right? So that the students can give us some feedback on that. Interestingly enough, I believe in talking to some kids, that data is going to be more split among our students than I first expected. I thought for sure it would be a slam dunk 100% one way. And I'm not convinced that's going to be the case. So I'm really curious to see what we learn. And the reason we're doing it in advisory at those 2 buildings is we really want to listen to our kids and give them a chance to have a voice on why do you think one way or the other would be beneficial to you. Obviously, at the end of the day, the parents, the community, the school board, the staff, that's where the decision needs to lie. But if we have that information, I think that kind of lets us know where our kids are on things. And it's just interesting how many more schools are exploring this. I was and I tried not to be really bold in my take on this. I'm trying to be very down the middle. I was pretty against it early on. I want to be very real about that. But kind of felt some of the pull from some of our surveys we received that we should at least look at it. And I just find some of the feedback I've received so far really interesting, and kind of can't wait to see what people have to say. And I'll plan to bring that to y'all and show that here. I'll find some way to aggregate some of the things. I gave some open-ended questions, and just kind of want to get a sense from our community of how they feel, and whether they think, hey, we want you to look at this, we see that around us a lot and we like it, or hey, you dummies, we like you because you don't do that. Don't do this. So it'd be really interesting to see what people tell us.
And the staff's going to be able to do this?
Yep, that'll go out to the staff too. Yeah, I didn't mention them, I'm sorry. At the same time we send out for the parents and all that, we'll send out for staff too. And there's a spot to check. So we actually had a debate at the admin meeting, not a debate, a conversation. I had it set up as you could check all of the roles that apply to you, so parent, guardian, staff, student, community members. And we actually shifted that to check the one that you want this survey to be applied to. Because we really think if you're looking at it as a parent versus if you're looking at it as a staff member, that's going to be an important item for us. So it'll be interesting to see how the data comes together. If it's like any other survey in the history of mankind, it'll be about 50-50. So
how's this committee getting her information, data and research? Are they just doing it on their own?
So I've given them a couple articles, and we've kind of talked through items. We did a SWOT analysis of what we think, so strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats in our community. So what about Centerville in specific would tell us this would be a good place for this? What would be some things about our community that would be challenges? And I think that's where the daycare item really came up as an item for us, because we feel like we're already a tiny bit of a daycare desert at times. And so that's why one of the big questions on this survey is how would this additional 18 days per school year of daycare affect your family? And what would that look like? Because that's, you know, an additional chunk of time there that you're paying for daycare, or finding a place for daycare.
And then probably back in the, you know, we won't have a professional development days probably, because they
Right.
built into those. So has that been the 18,
So what,
having those back
what we've
in, or-
talked about, and at the committee, we kind of talked about if we did a 4-day, we would probably have teachers a couple of the Fridays each month. Sometimes, so like, I'm good friends with Sam over at Moravian, he's a person that I've talked a lot with, and he's got a couple Fridays that he has to have school on. So generally, you'd probably have one PD day that month and school on that Friday. Cause you have to have a few of them to get enough hours in the year still. And then on the ones where we wouldn't have a Friday school day, we'd probably have a PD day. At least the sample calendar that I've built so far has it that way. And we can kind of monkey with that a little bit, play around with it how we need to make it fit. Snow days during the week, you'd go on a Friday too.
Okay, that's just last.
Which is kind of good, because virtual days are okay, but pushing to a Friday probably be just, I think, just as good, if not even better. Especially for some of our kids that it's really nice to have contact with. If that help. So it'll be a loaded thing. I'm sure it'll be like 100% one way and easy for us to decide based off the survey. And the good news is, like, we can decide whatever the board needs to decide. And I'll guide, I'll give a lot of feedback, I'll share all the data. I will not be biased, even though I do have a feeling, I will not be biased. I'll share the data because I think this is about following the will of our community and not about like what Mark Taylor thinks is good, because whatever, that doesn't matter. So we'll find out what our community says, and we can do the right thing for kids within it. And yeah.
I'm curious, and I'm sure there's data on this somewhere, what is that, how does it affect finances?
That's a great question, because you know, when schools started doing this, they talked about, and I gotta be careful, I don't want it to sound like I'm like debating 4-day week here, since it wasn't an agenda item, but I will say, that was an item that people said would be a deal, that you'd get savings from it. That doesn't bear out with the schools that have already done it, because typically what you need to do is you need to make your non-certified folks whole. So you end up usually with some sort of change in their pay rate because of the change in days.
Yeah.
And that really, because school districts, it's like 80-some% typically for your budget is salary. So that's why, like, when a school is short on budget, like Cedar Rapids right now, you see they had to cut millions, and they have to cut whole buildings and staff at all those buildings, because to get any amount out of a school, that's where it is in staffing. So there's not a lot, maybe a little bit of gas money on buses, but it doesn't add up as much as I think those schools build it. I think that was a tactic early on for some people to use.
Anything else?
No, but I'll definitely bring a lot of fun information your way, I promise, it'll be a blast. Almost as good as board policy, which we'll have the next meeting too.
Oh darn, I missed it.
Oh, I'll get second reading for you the next meeting.
Okay, any questions or comments about the superintendent's report?
I have a question. So did you have the behavioral room walkthrough?
When we went up to Owatonna, yes, thank you, yeah.
But
that
did
was-
she come here?
She did come, was that Wednesday
She's been
last
here
week,
like 3
or-
times now.
She has been here to walk
Yeah.
through.
Yeah, she came again last week too
Yeah.
at some point.
Did she did?
What day
She
was
walked
that?
through the elementary and middle school.
Yeah.
Wednesday.
She's
Good,
coming back
good.
again.
She definitely identified some things, and I know she talked a little bit with Brian and Julie more about the location that she would recommend for that. So this is the Teach to Heal room, trying to find the right place for that discovery room. And what she said that, I'm really glad you mentioned that, thank you. She said it's so important where you put that in a building, because it kind of changes how people view the program and how they view the expectation for the program. And I know she's got some ideas for us. She wants to, after we get through this next training, she wants to review that again with us in the next time that we come together, because she wants to see kind of where we are, they call it your house. So where our house is on understanding of behavioral programming and how that fits in to a school building, and knowing kind of how those students, that I don't mean those students, but how students who might be in that program might be viewed within the building, and how we view helping the children in the program. So she's kind of judging us a little bit to help us get the best advice of, you need to put it here, this will help you get the best view of your program and what you need to do. She is very detail oriented, I've noticed. So one thing we talked about is room setup. And she said, when I look into this room, if this is the setup we use for this room, the first thing I see when I look in is like the teacher desk and the teacher's home stuff. In this room, we're gonna wanna have real focus on the second I look in the room, because I'm a kid who's less likely to wanna go to school if I'm in a behavior program, right? And I'm a little more apprehensive. I wanna see things about kids in this class and why I belong here. And I don't know that I ever would have thought of that, to be honest with you. Honestly, I sat there and like, for 10 years, for however many years I've been in administration, I've been telling people really bad advice on how to set up their room for kids with behavior needs, I guess. So I'm really eager to see what she says after we get through this next training, which is it the 20th of February?
That's one of them, yes.
Yeah, so that's the big one that I think she's gonna give us. And then we've got March for the environmental factors, that'll be another piece. And we'll start training, we will need to kind of work on getting our people assigned for the room for next year, because there is actually quite a training program on those folks this spring to be ready for the fall. So like there's a whole computer program that they'll learn about to be able to track the behaviors and to track, because what they'll do is every 45 minutes you track the time. Okay, I'm gonna say this really badly and you are more than welcome to correct me, all right? The time basically doing what you're supposed to do. She had a word for a few.
Self-time, directed time.
Self-time and directed time are time that, like, if you're not doing what you've been asked to do, those times are tracked, and if you have a certain amount of minutes that aren't on that in the room, then your score for that time goes down. So it's not a score that, like, you guys have probably done, like, check and check out, right? So like check and check out is something that we do, like a kid has a sheet and you give them a 3 for the period, like, yeah, he's doing his job the whole time, doing pretty good with it. Or 2, hey, we had some problems. This is very prescribed, how those scores work. And it determines how much time that student will be out in the gen ed setting for the next week.
After time.
Yeah. So you have to
Very
raise your
structured.
score a certain amount. And I'm oversimplifying it right now. Because there's like a whole, you reach this threshold, and if you have a day that takes you down to this level of score, you're just out until you reach the threshold again. So it's about not putting a kid that hasn't demonstrated being able to regulate, not putting them in a place where they're going to then show that to everybody, and other kids might see them as a person who can't regulate. So we're helping protect their dignity by giving them the skills and putting them out to succeed, not out to fail and come back. It's kind of the inverse of the normal way of doing that. Really eager to see how that works, to be honest with you. And we got a lot of work to do with our AA team. We've had some good conversations with them. We have a good AA team, but it's a different way of thinking, because a lot of times in that world right now, it's when are you going to send the kid out for something? But in this case, it'll be how do we strategize sending the kid in for things? And how do we know when they're ready to do that? So as we build IEPs, we're gonna have to find some new ways of wording things that make it, kosher and right for that kid. It was a long answer to a short question, though.
I like it.
Thank you.
I like it too.
So as a board, how will we get some idea of what this thing is?
That's a great question, and I think we probably have a little work to do to figure out how we want to present when we have our staff. And I'm kind of looking at Brian and Julie as I say this, because I don't know that I have a good answer, and if they like the right answer just comes off their faces, I was going to share it.
I think we have to know more before we can share too. I mean, we're learning, and like visiting made it a lot more sense, but I can't necessarily take you all to Owatonna.
Yeah.
And so I think as we get through this next few days of PD that she's here, she comes the 5th, the 20th, and then another day in March. I think that will, after that training with the staff of the Discovery Room, I think we'll have a better understanding to be able to share with
She
you.
did give us the invite if we wanted anybody to come watch any community, like, that would be our supporters, that would want to come watch one of the trainings, that we could let a few people come in. So if anybody's not busy and wants to come check it out, on one of those days, we'd love to have somebody come hang out with us. And, you know, she and her people are pretty good speakers. They're very real with their language, recognizing they're talking about behavior rooms, right? So you may hear a naughty word. And they don't, not because they use it, because they have fun saying naughty words, maybe they do, I don't know. But because they may give you an example where a naughty word has been used, and so just like if that, just a heads up, like trigger warning.
And did you say we have staff, already have staff for this?
Well, we have some people who have expressed interest, so what we still have to look at is if it needs to be, whether it needs to be posted, whether it needs to be anything else there, because it's technically a strap one position, but we wanna make sure that we give people a fair shot. So if there's like multiple people interested and they just haven't maybe talked to us, I think we wanna make sure we get information out there for people to find that out.
So it's not gonna be like, oh, we have this ready to go, but we can't find somebody, it's not.
No,
that.
because I think we've got a plan to use, if we couldn't get another body, I think we've got a plan to make it happen with what we've got with this program. I would love to get one more body for special education with it, to be perfectly honest, just kind of talking our numbers. But if we don't, we can make it happen. So that'll work. I think this system will help maybe kind of alleviate some of those concerns there. And strangely enough, some of the students who have behavioral needs often have academic needs too, so that kind of helps compound that a little bit for this program and make it a little easier. It's almost like a chicken and egg kind of thing there.
We have a young person at Howard who re-entered this year from the Discovery Room.
Oh, right.
Hey, Bill, do you remember that? And that young person, the same thing, we had some bumps the first couple weeks, but honestly, it's been amazing. I mean, I would only hope that it would be real successful, because it really does, it gives kids what they need, and they need something different than their peers sometimes.
He is one of my favorites too.
He
He calls me
absolutely
Big Boss. So it does make me feel good.
And you know what, when our police walk through, he says, he always asks if he could step out in the hall and thank them for protecting our schools, always. A very respectful young person, but has made a huge improvement. That program just met the nerve, and met the need, that's what we want.
And the good news is, so that Eddie program that Terry's talking about, they're 1 year ahead of us on this training actually. So they kind of were figuring it out for a while there, the first couple of years, and they jumped into this, and they're ahead of us. Davis County is 1 year ahead of us on Teach to Heal as well. And the schools that have really been in it earlier have really reported positives. I understand there's some discovery rooms open in our area, our conference even actually, that are already functioning pretty well. That gives me some hope that this could be the right tool for us. We'll probably need one thing that, as we talk about on the one side, ooh, we need to make some cuts, we have a problem. On the other side, we have to take care of student needs. We are probably going to need to, for this room, not probably, we will need an additional regulate and return coach. Because the way this program is set up is one of those folks, and this is the new position that we made this last year that has the training on how to do the behavioral interventions. There is one that's directly assigned to that room to support that teacher. So while that's not a teacher level position, it's a person with a good deal of extra training that kind of gives them a co-teacher in the room to manage kids who have extra regulation needs. So that's something that we'll have to bring back to the table and say, we'd like to post this to get this rolling. And I'm hoping to do that in February, so we can start those conversations and get that person trained too. But you know, a lot of pieces to line up to make August work, but I really think as long as we keep staying on those and train the right people, and we just get the right bodies, the right people involved, I think we'll be good. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was like one of the best things in the last week. I can't believe I missed that. Darn snow and
That's
ice.
gonna give a lot of people a lot of hope.
Oh, yeah.
In a lot of ways.
Oh, yeah. It's gonna be good, and those kids too,
Yes,
especially.
absolutely.
Yeah. You know, it's always at some point that, as a board, we need to understand kind of how it works.
Yeah.
because more than likely, we're gonna have to defend it at some point.
Sure.
So,
Well, the good news is, I have a feeling from just kind of seeing how this has worked for people, after the first year or so, they tell us to expect couple years really of it being tough. I really think it's gonna almost defend itself at some point as you see progress for kids that maybe people were like, I don't know how we're gonna get that kid to make it through. Because anybody who's been in a school, there's some kids that it's tough. It's like, how are we gonna help him be successful and to contribute positively to society and be a lifelong learner? This is the way. We're gonna really put a lot of effort into meeting those needs and actually changing the way that kid accesses their frontal lobe rather than their brainstem when they're in a fight or flight situation to be successful. So I think it'll defend itself after a year.
You know, and having been a classroom teacher and having had those kids in my classroom all day long, you know, it's frustrating as the teacher because you don't have the tools, you don't have the training.
Or the time.
That these staff members are going to have.
Yeah,
So, you feel bad because you can't really help them.
right. And then you're just kind of stuck, right? So, and that's what's good about this. And I think building that relationship and that back and forth is gonna be the hard part as we do this. Because it's gonna take a little bit of, okay, how do I know when it's time? Because I know we have a lot of people who have some amazing hearts. And I'm gonna tell you, this is a problem that all of us who really love kids deal with. At some point, you have to be willing to let go a little bit. And I think that's where this will, early on, it'll be easy in some really, really tough cases. But there's gonna be some cases of kids who, if we can let go just a little bit, we're gonna make a great long-term impact for those kids, as long as we don't feel like I have to save the day. You know, and that's hard, because you don't get into this because you don't like kids, you get into this because you love kids and you wanna save them. So letting those folks in that room be the one to save them. And I think, you know, we've talked administratively, that includes us, because sometimes we wanna be the one to run into the room and save the day. But when we do that, and this is what Danielle's telling us, when we do that, sometimes we are inadvertently taking the authority from the teacher by doing that, or taking the authority away from the R&R in some cases. Because if they have it in control and they're ready for it, then we have to work out a situation where they're the ones giving us the student, not we're coming in to take the student out because we have the authority, they don't, we're gonna pull them out. As a saving person, that's pretty hard, because you want to go in and save people. But this will be good.
Yeah, well.
In about 2 years, it'll be good to start, it'll be great in about 2 years.
It's a step in the right direction.
Right.
Absolutely.
any other questions or comments from Mr. Taylor? We are down to board member takeaways.
I really appreciated hearing from Mrs. Weinberg with the program that she has going for students, being able to go out in the community and work. I think that's awesome to offer for our students.
I thought it was great, the principal and director reports, that we have seen an increase in attendance, almost absences.
I really enjoyed these students coming in and talking about, they did really thorough, I think they touched on every activity that's going on, and I appreciate their insight as to its other students, getting students involved. That is, I think that's more effective than a coach, to tell you the truth, so. And I appreciated the update on the Discovery Room stuff. I think that's been very good, and I think it'll help a lot.
Katie gets all that talking from her mom, by the way.
Okay.
That adds up to the last 20 minutes.
I was also going to comment on Mrs. Weinberg's presentation, and that I think it's, and in like all the activities, the increased involvement is really something to, be happy about. Because, we all know that kids need to, at least one person they can relate to, one adult, and maybe it's not a teacher, but maybe it's the coach. And so that's just beneficial all the way around.
Positive childhood experiences research.
That's
right there.
right,
Yep.
yeah.
I enjoyed the food service reports from Kate and Belinda. sounds like we're fighting the same battle that every other school is as far as participation in school lunches. And I look forward to another 3-year report. And I guess the last thing I would like to do is, I'd like to thank Derek Carter for his service. It was an unfortunate situation, but Derek was a good school board member, and I appreciated his insight and his help.
A second that.
Anything else? Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Here's Mary.